So hello everyone, I'm Yogesh and most of you will be knowing me through this video only because I'm not so popular in the YouTube. Okay, so fine. I will take you to the interview of IISER and I hope that it will help you in some way. Okay, so let me first tell you about myself. So I'm Yogesh. I done my masters from Central University of Haryana in Environmental Sciences and I'm a UGC JRF qualified. Okay, so let's move straight to my IISER interview. So I gave my interview for IISER Bhopal. Okay. So let me first tell you about IISER, Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research. Okay, so these are basically the institute of national importance that are particularly created by the government of India for research only. These are made for research. Okay, right? And there are several IISERs like IISER Kolkata is there, IISER Mohali is there, IISER Bhopal is there, IISER Tirupati is there, IISER Thiruvananthapuram is there, and so many others are also there. Okay, so the first thing is that how you apply to them, their application. Okay, so different IISERs have different kinds of applications. Like if I talk particularly about the IISER Bhopal, then they take application through the Google Forms. Okay, I filled a Google form and in case you want, then I can show you that also someday. Okay, IISER Bhopal. Okay, so the first thing that I should tell you is whenever you are going to an interview, first thing is that you should go to their website. Okay, so this is the website of Earth and Environmental Sciences Department of IISER. Okay, so you should go to their research areas. That is the first thing that I want you to go to. Okay, so there you will get the knowledge of their faculties. Okay, so this is the research areas and check out their faculties. Click on any of them. Okay, so suppose I click on Dr. Sombel. Okay, so here is the discussion about Dr. Ashish Biswas. Okay, so there you can get information regarding what his works are, what his expertise is. And Dr. Kumar Gaurav is there, then Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Jha, Dr. Satinder Pal Singh is there. Okay, Dr. Vinay, Dr. Sombel. Okay, so suppose I want to work with Dr. Sombel's Swankar. Okay, so the first thing is that I should know about my research interest, and thereafter I will try to incline my research interest towards the work that is done by any of these teachers. Okay, so then only I'll be able to answer most of the questions because they will be asking the questions from their expertise. Okay, okay, so this was all that I wanted to tell you from their website. So you should try to visit them. Okay, now let's move back to our slide. Okay, so another thing is that I should tell you is there are actually three pillars of this particular interview. So the first thing is that your basics should be very strong. Okay, they don't ask you like very typical questions initially. They will be asking you about the basic questions only, and if you are performing well, then only they will be going to the higher level concept or the advanced concepts. So the catch over here is that you should be good at your basics. Okay, and it is a kind of uh, kind of uh, moderated interview. That means they don't ask you the typical questions at once. They just ask you basics, and in case you are doing good with the basics, then only they will be ask you the typical ones or the difficult ones. Okay, so you should be good at your basics. Okay, basics of your subject obviously. Okay, then the second thing they will be asking you about is your thesis. Okay, you should know almost everything that you have written in your thesis. You should be very good at that. Okay, everything from starting from your objectives, methodology, outcomes. Okay, results and discussions, everything. Okay, objectives, methodology, okay, results and discussions, everything you should be knowing. And the third and the most important thing is your research interest or research area, research interest. Okay, so most of the questions that they will be asking you will hang around the research interest only. Okay, so that is something that you should work upon. So try to find out like what actually kind of motivates you, like what are the areas that you want to work upon. Okay, so just try to find out them. Okay, and try to find out a teacher that will help you out. Okay, and like from there you can check what are the areas that you can work upon with the help of which of the following teachers. Okay, so now let's move back. And now the interview procedure. Alright, so firstly you'll be visiting the IISER Bhopal. I'm restricting my all discussion towards the IISER Bhopal because that is the one I'm talking about. Okay, so IISER Bhopal is actually located near the Bori, that is in Bhopal. It's kind of a village area and it is not located in the city itself. Fine. So you have to visit that village, and that's 12-13 kilometers away from the city center. Fine. Okay, so suppose you have visited there, then you have the timing of my interview is actually 8:30 a.m. in the morning, and you will be quite surprised to know that yes, it started at 8:30 a.m. bro. So the first step will be the document verification. Okay, so in document verification, they will be asking you the Xerox copies, 10th mark sheet, 12th mark sheet, then your graduation mark sheet, post graduation mark sheet, your JRF, net, or gate, whatever you are having. Okay, so any kind of fellowship that you are having, they just need, and all these should be self attested. Okay, so those of you who don't know about self attestation, then let me tell you that in brief. Okay, so self attested simply means that you have to write self attested, and just down to that you have to sign, you have to put your date 27/04/2023. All right, so this is just the self attestation. All right, so after document verification you will be taken to the interview boardroom one by one. So interview boardroom, so the board members would be anywhere from 2 to 8. Okay, so if I talk about my atmospheric sciences interview there, I gave my interview in two branches, means in two departments. So first one was atmospheric sciences. Actually both of them come under one department only. Okay, sorry, earth and environmental sciences. Okay, so atmospheric sciences was one area, and another area was ESP stands for earth surface processes. Earth surface processes. And under the earth and environmental sciences department, there is another area also, that is solid earth. Okay, so uh, I haven't gone for that. Okay, so I first initially I'll be telling you about the atmospheric sciences. Okay, so make sure that you are carrying your thesis with you. Okay, that will help you a lot. Okay, then only they will be able to see whether you have done some kind of work or not, or you have just passed the degree. Okay, so I went inside. Okay, so I wished them that good morning ma'am, good morning sir. Only there were two members there. Okay, in case of my atmospheric sciences there were just two members. One was Mr. Pankaj, and there was another kind lady, I don't know her name. Okay, so the first question that Mr. Pankaj asked me was like, please tell me about yourself, what you did in your graduation, okay, your post graduation, and what are your thesis, what is your thesis all about. Okay, so those were the question that he initially asked me. I answered all of them, and thereafter he started to ask me like, what are the research areas that you are interested in. And I told them that I am interested in monsoon modeling. Okay, so they started me asking questions about monsoon. So for the first question that they put to me uh, is actually about the atmospheric circulation. So they asked me like, what are the atmospheric circulations, and they told me to draw a diagram. So I drew the diagram. Okay, so this is equator, these are the tropics. Okay, so these are the two circles. Everything I told them about. Okay, so atmospheric circle. Then they asked me like, what is actually monsoon, give a definition. means monsoon along with the definition. And I was quite clear that okay, these are monsoon is actually a reversal of wind. Okay, whatever I knew about monsoon, I told them. Okay, fine. So those were actually the basic questions. And they started me asking like draw the diagram of the temperature profiling, temperature temperature profiling of atmosphere, and I drew that. Okay, okay. Then they asked me about the mm, they asked me about the EMS, electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, so I drew the electromagnetic spectrum, though I was knowing all these things. Okay, so these were the kind of questions that they were asking me, and then atmosphere, different models of atmosphere. So I told them clearly that these are the areas that I'm not knowing about. Okay, as of now, however, I'm interested, so I'll be knowing them in the future. Okay, so I will be learning them. So fine. So these were the kind of the questions that they were asking me. My interview went on for around 20 to 25 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay, so at the end of this interview they just asked me like uh, do you have any question? Okay, do you have any question for us? Question for us. Do you want to know anything from us? Okay, so generally many people try to think that no, we don't need to ask anything, but I was not of that opinion. I simply asked them a genuine question. So this is my first interview, so what should I do in case if I'm not selected here? Okay, so they asked me like they told me like, okay, your voice was quite good, you were easily means audible, your command of your language was good. However, the answers that you were giving were wrong, but still you were having that confidence. So these are the good things. And here we are not sitting to humiliate any one of you guys. We just ask you the basic questions, and we just ask you the things that you already know. Okay, so just work upon the basics, and about your work, research work, know about your interest. Okay, those are the things. And another thing is that I'm taking you to the I'm forwarding you to the ESP, because one of our guys is already sitting over there, and he will also judge you. Okay, he will also assess you. All right. So I was quite happy with their gesture that they are also taking me to another, and they even recommended me for that. Right. So I wait. So after getting out of the boardroom, I waited for around 30 to 35 minutes outside the ESP, Earth Surface Processes, like boardroom. Okay, so I was called over there, and you know what happened there is one of the guy who went inside prior to me came out of the room weeping. I don't know why he was. Actually, he was like he melted down there. I don't know what was the reason. Okay, so though I was quite confident with myself, like I'll be able to handle all those questions. It doesn't matter whether I'll be able to answer them or not, but I wouldn't do this. Okay, means I would melt down. All right. Okay, so I went inside. I asked for permission. Then they told me to sit down. I sat there. Then they started to bombard questions upon me. So the first question was quite similar. That tell me about your graduation and post graduation. And post graduation. So this is a common question that everyone will be asking you. Okay. And then they took my thesis from me. Okay, my thesis, that's my dissertation. Okay, right. And then they started to ask me question related to that. Okay, so these are the maps. I made spatial maps. So my thesis was about the spatial analysis of the groundwater quality of Madhya district of Haryana, suitability assessment. So they simply asked me question related to that. Okay, initially. Okay, they asked me like, oh, these are the maps, how you created those maps, spatial maps. Okay, so I told them that I used interpolation. So sorry, initially I told them that I use a ArcGIS tool, ArcGIS tool, and I used interpolation. I used interpolation. Okay, and I used IDW. And they asked me like, what is IDW? Then I told them IDW stands for inverse distance weighting, inverse distance weighting. And in IDW, I told them clearly that the areas that are closer to the sampling points are given more weightage. And similarly they asked me like, oh, what was your purpose for drawing these maps? And I told them my objective that I want to create some kind of knowledge base for my particular area, because I'm from that area only, so at least I'll be able to help people over there. Okay, so because what I found through my research is that most of the groundwater that is available over there is not suitable for drinking and even for the irrigation purpose. Okay, so thereafter they asked me like what these contours do, what these contours represent, and everything related to that. So I was not having knowledge, so I clearly said that, sir, this is not my area of expertise, so I don't know much about RS, means remote sensing. So they said fine, 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 and they went ahead with the then they asked me like whether you were having a course of environmental chemistry. Okay, so then I said that yes, I was having a course of environmental chemistry. Then they started to ask me question related to that, means specific to the water. Right, then they asked me like what is electrochemical series. Okay, then they asked me about oxidation and reduction reactions. What are oxidants, what are reducing agents, all those things that they asked me. And then they asked me about carbonate buffering. Okay, and it was a quite like interesting topic, so we discussed that in detail. Okay, so there were many questions also, okay, which I am not able to recall as of now. Okay, so as and when I'll be able to recall them, I'll be telling you, right? So those were the kind of questions that they asked me. Okay, yes, they asked me about like how buffer work, means work of a buffer, or how bicarbonate actually work as a buffer. Okay, even if the pH is increasing or pH is decreasing, what will happen? Okay, those were the kind of reactions that they asked me. And then they asked me about hydrology. Okay, then they asked me about like how the groundwater moves. Okay, so what is the law that is related to that? Then I told them about the Darcy's law. Okay, then they asked me like what is Darcy's law. Then I told them that the flow rate is directly proportional to the area of cross section, and with the dH by dl, that simply means hydraulic gradient. Okay, so then they asked me like how to will you calculate a hydraulic gradient. And I told them that we need to have a datum plane. Then the processes I told them about that we will be calculating the uh, water table from the datum. Okay, so all these processes were going on. Then they asked me many other things also, and I answered most of them fine. So thereafter they asked me other questions. Okay, so this is how my interview was going. Means these are the kind of the questions that they were initially putting me kind of basic questions, then they are moving ahead with the difficult ones, then they were increasing the difficulty level, and those were the kind of things that were happening all around. Okay, and uh, at the end of the interview they started to ask me like why so much gap, because I completed my 12th in 2013. Okay, then I completed my graduation in 2000. Why so much gap? So I told them that my graduation was 4-year degree. Okay, because that was an honors degree. I took admission in 2015, completed that in 2019. Okay, and between 2013 to 15, 1 year was wasted because because I suffered from jaundice. And another year I was preparing for medical entrance, and I qualified in Council of Agricultural Research examination, and I got a National Talent Scholarship, means NTS. All right, so I told them everything about it, and they got satisfied with that. Okay, so then they asked me like why atmospheric sciences was why atmospheric sciences was your preference? Don't you want to work in ASP? Means still you are fixed with the atmospheric sciences and not not earth surface and processes earth surface processes. So I told them that if I will be getting groundwater, because I have done my prior research in groundwater, so I'll be definitely going with the groundwater. Otherwise I'll go for atmospheric sciences. So at the end of the day they asked me like do you have any question for us? So I told them that this is my first interview, so actually I have a question like what should I do to improve. Then they started asking the questions like what are the other institutes that you have worked upon. Let's see, what are the other institute that you have performed? Okay, so I told them quite honestly that I have filled the IISER Bangalore form and waiting for their interview call. And I have applied for the IIT Kharagpur, and I have got interview call from them. I have got an interview call from NPL, National Physical Laboratory. I have got an interview call from IIT Roorkee. All right, so finally they asked me like, if you got selected, suppose you got selected in every institute, then which institute will you go for? Okay, so I told them quite honestly, like, I'll go for IISc Bangalore. And then I told them that, but in case I'm not selected, then definitely I'll go for IISER Bhopal. Then they asked me like, why IISER Bhopal? I told them quite lamely like, there are few friends of mine who are there in the IFM Bhopal, and they told me like, if you are still interested in doing research in environmental science, then you should go for IISER Bhopal, and about all those facilities that I'll be getting over here and completing my research. Okay, so that was all from the interview, and they finally wished me like good luck and best wishes for your future. And finally it all went well. So yes, there are key points, there are three key points. Okay, so first thing is that you should be quite clear with your basics. Okay, then second thing, you should be clear about your thesis, and third thing you should be clear about is your research interest. Research research interest. Okay, so when you will be going for interview, then you will also need to have your SOP, means statement of purpose. Those of you who don't know about statement of purpose, okay, can comment below, so I'll be making a separate video for that. You can also require a research proposal, though you will not be required that for IISERs. However, if you will go to any of the IIT, then you may require that. For example, for my IIT Roorkee interviews, I was called to have my research proposal in hand. Okay, so though the research proposal doesn't mean that these will be the areas that will be given to you during your PhD. This is just to understand whether you are having a greater of doing PhD, or you are just doing the PhD for the sake of doing. Alright, so these are the areas. Alright, thank you very much guys. In case you are having any kind of doubt, then just let me know. Okay, I'll be clearing all those. Okay, so just do one thing, uh, please hit the like button if you like my work, and if you want to ask any question, please do comment. Okay, thank you very much guys. So I'm signing off. Few